Hello, everybody. This is the 8th edition of my developer interview series, and this time it's actually not a single developer. It's a bunch of guys, and a bunch of guys I really, really love to have on a single call because we've been spending a significant amount of time over the last couple of weeks trying to get ready for a demo that was scheduled to be given at the Devoxx Keynote. So this is kind of our final technical wrap-up. So you've seen a bunch of blog posts about the stuff that we've been doing, and whatever we tried to, we actually never really were able to completely reach out to all the details. And we decided to make just one single large developer interview. This is probably not going to be wrapped up after 20 minutes, so sit back and relax. I'm actually asking everybody to introduce themselves. So let's start with Arun. Hello, Arun.
Marcus, my name is Arun Gupta. I work for Red Hat. We are all Red Hatters now. I'm the director for developer advocacy at Red Hat for all of JBoss middleware.
So next up would be Ben.
Hi, Ben Paris. I'm an engineer on the OpenShift team, and I'm the lead for the OpenShift XPAS side of the XPAS effort that we're talking about today, as well as working on cartridge development for OpenShift version 2.
Eric? Eric?
Sorry.
Yeah, let's go.
So I'm Eric. I'm part of the AeroGear team, the mobile effort from JBoss, and I'm lead for Cordova.
Okay. Who else
And
is
I need
here?
backend.
Okay.
Because JavaScript is in my nature.
Okay, I don't comment on that. John, welcome, John.
Thank you very much. I am John Frizzell. I'm the Chief Architect and Engineering Manager with Feed Henry, now Red Hat Mobile, I guess. So leading platform development for the mobile product.
And last but not least, Sebastian.
Hi, I'm Sebastian. I work for Red Hat as well in the AeroGear team, and I'm mainly in charge of the unified push server.
You know me, I'm Marcus. I'm also a developer advocate at Red Hat, so I'd like to talk to Arun a bit about what Devoxx means to Red Hat. Why are we doing Devoxx, Arun?
Sure. Well, Devoxx is a premier developer conference based out of Europe. This was started in Belgium, but now they have chapters running in UK and France. If we look at the number of attendees outreach that Devoxx provides, I mean, 3,500 in Belgium. They're looking at about 1,000 in UK. They're looking at about 1,800 in France. And then we look at the broader effort that Devoxx is doing as part of Devoxx for Kids. We're looking at about 10,000 Devoxians, so to say, that they outreach to. That's got to be the biggest technology event focused on Java, not just Europe, but worldwide. So Red Hat has been a platinum sponsor for past 4 years, and we hope we continue to do that because to us, Devoxx is very, very strategic. It allows us to outreach to the premier set of developers. That's sort of where the shakers and the movers of the technologies are. So, and that's how I see it. That's how Red Hat sees it. So it's very, very relevant for us to be at Devoxx and make our voice heard, and more importantly, listen from the developers what they care about Red Hat technologies and get their feedback firsthand.
And this year actually was pretty unique because we had to give a keynote, right? So, which was surprisingly aligned with the product launch in this case. And as part of the keynote, we actually had the pleasure to present something. So that little Instameme app, which was basically written by the whole team here, correct? So, and
Right.
If I could actually take over and share my screen a bit, then you'll be hopefully able to see something. Let me just switch around a bit. So this actually was the introduction slide from Mike Peach, and no, don't worry, I'm not going to talk through all the details, but where I definitely want to catch up is the Instameme app itself. which is a Cordova app that Sebastian is going to show us shortly. But the basic idea behind that was that we share the picture on stage, and that we ask people to tweet a meme that they want to see embossed on that picture. And we had a gallery that was fired up, where we finally watched all the results that people came up with. And this is actually a slide we've not seen in the keynote because we slipped it. I slipped it. Yeah, mistakes happen. This is the whole story, right? So we have FeedHenry as the new acquisition, and we have XPath and iPath, which is the integration solution based on Red Hat JBoss Fuse. And everything is running on OpenShift. And as you might have guessed, this is not pretty much everything. So the real story behind it is a little bit more detailed. And I actually put that picture into one of the more detailed blog posts about it already. And what we're going to do, we're going to walk you through that and give you a little bit more than just the 5 minutes demo. So coming from the left and having tweeted a nice fancy picture, so there's something that we need to tweet. And yeah, so Eric, no, not Eric, Sebastian, want to take over and share your screen and tell the people a bit about what it actually takes to implement that kind of application and how you did it? We can hear you. Unmute, please. Okay.
Okay.
There we go.
Here we go. Let me share my screen, and you should see now the. Are you still there? I can hear you.
We are all here.
Okay. Okay. So you should all see now the FeedHenry development environment online, and I will talk to you a bit about the client, the model client. How did we implement this client? Well, it's a Cordova project. So for people who don't know what Cordova is a framework, a library that enables you to take a web application and turn that into a native application. So the first big advantage is that most of the people can make a web application, more than people who can make an iOS app or an Android app. So most of the time you have the resources for that. And the other huge advantage of taking this approach is that using the same code base, you can deploy on different platforms, on iOS, on Android, on Windows Phone, keeping the same code base. So that is really huge. So if you take a look at code quickly, we will see here a www folder. Basically, that's where all the magic happens. And it's just a regular web application. As you can see, we get some HTML. If we open that here, we get some regular HTML, some JavaScript, of course. And what we are using here to make it nice, to make it look like nice, we're using a framework called Ionic. Ionic is a graphical library which really comes with a really nice set of mobile widgets, and it gives it really a native feeling when you're using that. The framework behind that we use is AngularJS, because it's really well integrated with the Ionic platform. And so I'm not going through all the code, but as you can see, again, it's just JavaScript, and really important part, you don't have to change a single line of code if you want to deploy it on different platforms. The other nice thing about Cordova are the plugins. Plugins are JavaScript libraries that make bridges between your native features and your web application. That means that you can access all the native features of your device, like the camera, because in this app we needed to make a picture. So here we add the plugin the camera. We need to do some file handling, so we add the file. plugin, and we also want to receive push notification, and for that we are using, sorry, let me zoom out, the AeroGear push plugin, which enables the mobile application to receive push notifications. So basically that's how the app is built. You can also notice here a feedhenry.js file. This is a library that provides access to all the backend services that Eric will explain a bit later. So basically, that's the mobile app, and I think that's pretty much the big picture of it. And maybe Marcus, we can move to the next part.
Okay, let me quickly look into it. I mean, we have taken a picture on stage, right? So, and that picture actually got tweeted to a Twitter account, which was JBoss Devoxx, I guess. So this is all something that happened from the mobile app. And then I asked people to actually tweet some memes. And yeah, what happened after that? I mean, what happened to the picture? Eric, want to take over and walk us through?
Yeah. So what happens is the picture gets uploaded to the backend via RESTful endpoint. I'll show you. This is all done in the Cordova. Let me show you the App Studio here as well.
Share a screen.
Yeah, share my screen. This one. Share it. So here's a little bit of overview. Do you see my screen? Yeah. So here's a little bit of the overview that you see from in the feedhenry backend. Here you see the front end clients, and here's the backend. So it's like layered like you would suppose to, like logical.
And what is it? I mean, the backend, it's Java EE, right?
No, the backend is Node.js. And and it's a RESTful endpoint. So the biggest thing here is this picture. It's called picture, and as you can see, it's JavaScript as well, and it has these RESTful endpoints. The picture gets uploaded, and it uses feedhenry API here as well to communicate with the database, which is a Mongo database. It stores the picture there, and it stores the tags. So the tags that later people use to tweet again, and we know what picture to use for what meme to create out of which picture.
Okay.
After it creates the meme, it will store that in the database as well for later reference, so we can retweet it afterwards from the mobile app, and it will send a push notification. This is also a RESTful call to the AeroGear unified push server that will then send the push notification to all the networks.
Which is pretty important because all the push notifications for iOS and Android actually go over Apple or at least Google networks, right? So there's nothing we can do to reach the individual clients. We have to have some component in the middle. And I have a feeling we're jumping back to Sebastian to at least show us what the unified push server is, right?
Right.
Right. Let me share my screen again. And you should see now the unified push console. So the unified push is a server, well, even a service running here on OpenShift, which take care of all the push notification logic and complexity. So basically, if you want to be able to send your messages to all the different networks, like Marcus said, to the Google's network, to Apple's network, well, if you don't use that, you should implement that by yourself, and it's really not maintainable. That's why we provide a unified push server where you register one application, and let me go to the application overview, and here you can see two push applications. Well, the one that And the rest is the Devoxx application. That was the application used during the demo. And when you click on that application, you can see here that we have different variants. So we get a variant for Android, and for Android, if we open that, we get some details about the network details. We get some installation. That really means devices that really registered with this unified push server. So all these devices will receive these messages.
Funny thing happened during the keynote. We actually have shown a QR code from the build service that FeedHenry provides, and people actually scanned that from the big screen and started to install that application and used it by themselves on their phones, and that was kind of hassle-free, so very easy.
Yeah.
And that's really why we have 19 installations in total. We actually should have 2 or 3, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I was wondering why, and now I get an explanation why there are so many installations. But you can also see iOS, same thing here. Here we provide all the details and simple push. That is, if you want to enable some web push, that is also possible. But the nice thing is that our backend application, the Node.js app that Eric showed us, just have to send one message to this server, to this application, and the unified push server will take care of sending to all the devices on the different networks. So it's really easy to use. On the mobile client, we have also a plugin that handles the registration of the device to this unified server. And we even have some kind of dashboard that can show us some statistics. So we can see that almost 200 notifications has already been delivered. You get some activity here. So it's really nice to, if you need push notification in your app, but you don't want to dig into all the protocols and code all the stuff by yourself, well, the unified push server is really a nice solution. Last thing is we got also this really nice feature which is called send push. So without using any backend, if you want to test your configuration, here I can just type a message, and if I say hello, and I can just send that, and all the devices connected will receive this message. So that is really, it's really easy to test your applications.
Okay. And this thing is actually running at the very moment on OpenShift Online. So
exactly.
When somebody wants to just try it out, register for free, openshift.com, get a free gear, fire up the AeroGear Unified Push Server.
Exactly.
John, I know we didn't prepare that pretty much, but I guess you're ready to walk us through FeedHenry a little bit more, right? So, I mean, we've obviously seen some editors and project areas. Is there something else that we missed so far? I've been talking about the build server. Do you mind walking us through what FeedHenry really is? I mean, you just joined Red Hat, so there's no way for people to try it out at the very moment. Yeah, try to close that gap and make people excited about what FeedHenry is.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me screen. And okay, can we see that?
Yep.
Okay, very good. So I'm going to take a slightly higher level view here and give a kind of a 5-minute run through of FeedHenry. So first and foremost, what it's designed to be is a mobile-first view of the world for enterprises. So it brings together all of the bits and pieces of enterprise mobile development and integration into one place and provides, as I said, that kind of mobile-first, mobile-centric view of the world. So at a very high level, you have the concept of projects. So we don't think of mobile development as being applications. We think of them as being projects because it's more than just the app on your device. It's the entire solution being delivered. Reporting and analytics, obviously usage of apps, usage of cloud, resource usages, what's deployed where and how much memory, CPU and disk it's taking. MBAS services or microservices for reusable components, and we'll look at some real world cases of that in the InstaMeme app. some API documentation, administrative functions, and some zero-code functionality for business users to very quickly get forms-based applications out into the hands of field workers. So a little bit of something for everything there. So looking at the InstaMe map itself, and I know we've already seen this screen, but just to delve into it a little bit deeper. We have what you can consider a classic N-tier architecture here, but with a very mobile-centric view. So on the left-hand side, what you tend to have is the applications that end up in the hands of end users. So either mobile applications, mobile websites, or web portals, say, for administrative staff. In the middle column, you have some Node.js hosted cloud code that those client apps talk to and consume information from and post information to. And then on the right-hand side, you have these reusable MBAS services. And the idea with those MBAS services is you stand them up once, and then you can make them available to as many projects as you want. So you do your integration one time via an MBAS service, and then you can leverage and reuse that. So just looking at the application a little bit, we have already seen the screen, or this area of the platform. We've seen the editor. And one area that we haven't seen yet that you mentioned that I'd like to draw attention to is the build screen. So what this allows you to do without having any developer tools installed on your machine, and this is particularly powerful for non-developers, for project managers who want to get a look at the latest version of a particular application. You can choose your preferred target platform. In this case, we'll choose Android and a build type of debug. You can choose which cloud app you want this mobile app to communicate with, so a bit of lifecycle management functionality here in terms of a development or production instance, and then you can click build. Not actually going to click build here because the build process takes typically around 2 minutes. But what we can see here is a history of previous builds that have happened. And typically when you click build, it takes the application code that the developer has written, bundles it up with the certificates and profiles that have been uploaded. So for example, for iOS, it's necessary to have a credential bundle that has things like private key, certificate, and provisioning profile. Takes all that information, sends it to some hosted servers, and generates a mobile application that's ready to be installed on device. And as we can see here in the artifact history, we have a couple of previous builds. Selecting one of them gives you the option to download or scan the QR code to reinstall that application on your device. Now, obviously, this is not end-user distribution. This is developer-focused. So, for example, for Android, you need to enable sideloading of applications to make use of this functionality. But the majority of developers would have that turned on. For end-user distribution, you can obviously use standard app stores, mobile device management, or Feedhenry's own inbuilt app store. Looking then quickly again at the App Cloud and Services and switching to the other side of the screen to the MBAS services. So what we have here are, as I said, self-contained reusable pieces of functionality. And one of the benefits of the MBAS service is that you can encapsulate connectivity into your backend system and expose the functionality of the service without actually exposing any sensitive information. So for example, with the AeroGear push service here, it's hooked up to the AeroGear instance running in OpenShift, and it obviously needs a username and password to communicate. But by making that service available to a project and via this documentation discovery here, you can expose the API that the service makes available to the project developer. They can interact with the API, they can see the full details of the API definition, response codes, and they can even copy and paste a snippet of code for integrating that service into their Node.js cloud application.
And the cool thing here is that we actually managed to integrate AeroGear as a standard MBAS service during coming up with that demo. So that
is correct.
As a project, right?
Yes, as part of the demo. So we can see the AeroGear push service here. This is an actual live stood-up instance of a service that we have integrated. But as part of this work, we took that a step further and we actually added to our service catalog. We actually added AeroGear integration as a standard service. So anyone who has an AeroGear installation can stand up an instance of this and interact with their AeroGear server without having to write any code.
Okay, perfect. And the other service that we use in the InstaMeMap actually is the XPath Fuse integration service, right?
Yes, so if we just go back and have a look at it from this perspective again. So the other service we're using here is, as you said, the Fuse XPath integration service. So the AeroGear one is a fairly standard REST-based HTTP requests to the AeroGear service. The XPath Fuse one, just in terms of implementation, is actually using AMQ to receive messages from Fuse as people tweet new memes. So that information flows through Fuse into this MBAS service, which in turn communicates with the Cloud app to generate that new meme.
Okay, perfect.
That in turn then calls the push service, which sends a push notification to people when the new meme has been generated.
Which is true for both the web client and the native Cordova app clients running on Android, iOS, or whatever.
Correct, yes.
Perfect. So, and Fuse was kind of a first-time challenge that we solved here. So we basically made a stop connection to a Fuse-based backend. And this is probably the part where I have to take over. So let me try to share my screen again. What do we have? We have something here. Okay. Does that? Okay, there we go. Fuse. Don't tell me that you see anything black. Still all black?
Still all black, yep.
Yeah, that's not really helpful. You are sharing screens. We did that before, didn't we? Okay, let's try the entire screen. That should at least work. So, does that work?
Yes.
Perfect. So, the last part actually of the demo was a complete JBoss Fuse installation. So beside the OpenShift Online service, we also had an OpenShift Enterprise version running somewhere. And this whole instance is backed by a fabric. So this is the first view that we see, a complete overview about all the containers that we are running on an OpenShift Enterprise version. So the fabric or base Fuse installation is the central management point of view, and it's all backed by Hot I/O as a console. So whatever screen I'm actually sharing at the very moment is also based on Angular. It's a standards-based console that all Fuse-based products have in common. And as you can see here, we have a camel instance, which is running a very tiny little camel route. I have to log into all the different instances. So the first thing that we see here are the logs, which are not really helpful. What we really want to see is the one little camel route, which is using a Twitter stream component and actually listening for tweets with that defined static hashtag. And as you can see here, since the last restart, we actually had 5 tweets that got streamed from the Twitter streaming API, got logged to the log file. So clicking to the log file at the top actually would reveal the contents. Then I have some very little Java bean magic going on there to convert everything into JSON. It's going to be marshaled into JSON and put via OpenWire protocol to an AMQ. And that AMQ, according to the instance layout, is running on a different instance, the broker instance. And again, the logout, I actually had that failure during the keynote too, so whenever I talk too long, this thing locks me out. So we see a queue here. You could also see the topics, whatever infrastructure you really need in your complete broker. This is actually a standalone broker, so the most simplistic thing that we could see. You got some statistics, you could browse queues, and if anybody would tweet at the very moment, you could probably see a tweet coming by here. So Camel is pushing tweets into AMQ. You have a bunch of different client connectors that you could look into. So OpenWire actually is the one that is connected to the Camel instance, and Stomp, on the other hand, is connected to the Feed Henry platform. And this is all running on a public instance of OSE. And OpenShift Enterprise, OpenShift Online, and what is all that? And can you just shine some light on the different versions of OpenShift, and why do we need them?
Sure. So there's basically three legs of the OpenShift product. There's our upstream community, which is OpenShift Origin, and that's where all the active development on OpenShift takes place. And then we have our OpenShift Online, which is our public cloud offering that they can go sign up, and there's some free hosts available there, as well as a subscription service for additional capacity. And that's running just slightly behind the Origin community. We do releases every 3 weeks to that online environment, and that's where we bake out any issues that are in the code, make sure it's running at scale, and get the latest features in there, test it out, proven. And then the downstream final is the OpenShift Enterprise offering, which is our private cloud. And you can think of it sort of like the relationship between Fedora and RHEL. So online and Origin, they're running the latest and greatest, all the latest runtime available, latest features. Enterprise is going to be when we've made sure getting all the bugs out of those features and provide a better level of support and migration to customers who are running that enterprise offering. We're going to be able to provide a subscription path there, as well as a support offering for a customer who wants to run their own cloud in-house in that private environment. Not necessarily all the latest features, but much more stable, and has been through a bit more of the quality by having been through that online and Origin environment first, and we can then provide maintenance to people running that environment.
Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot, guys. I mean, that was basically our complete rundown of the demo with all the details and parts. And coming back to that initial slide deck, so there's actually a mistake in there, so we're not using the file store of Node.js. But yeah, anyway, there has to be a mistake in every graphic that I do. We're actually using MongoDB. Most importantly, I just want to mention that you have a good and fair chance to catch up with everything Devoxx and all the keynotes and all the blogs and all the technologies behind on jboss.org/events/Devoxx. You could also follow Mike Peach as a Twitter handle. You could follow myself or all the guys involved. I can only tell you one thing, which is that I'm really proud to have worked with those guys, because it was a hell of a ride over, let's say, a couple of weeks. And if you had a chance to look at that 4 minutes before the keynote picture of Mike Peach and me, we've been laughing our asses off because the demo actually wasn't working. But we made it work, and it was a real thrilling adventure to be able to present it. Connor actually joined us silently during the call, so I just want to make sure to introduce him shortly. So Connor is also on the Feed Henry team, and those two basically have made all the magic happen. Thank you guys for joining me tonight, sharing all the ideas and technologies behind it. I definitely hope that we get a chance to demonstrate that application a lot more in the future, and that we come up with some more examples. Arun, want to have the last words in that call?
Yeah, actually, I think one of the most compelling pieces of the entire demo really is how everything was literally running in the cloud, heavily powered by OpenShift, actually. So that, to us, is the real essence. So if you're building your enterprise application, mobile first is the is the terminology that everybody is using these days. You can't ignore the mobile users. So whether you're building enterprise applications, whether you're using mobile first technologies, all of that is very well powered by OpenShift, And in OpenShift, we have a lot of middleware technologies that are being offered over there. At this point, you can't really say, okay, Marcos, I want to build this application. So that's not there. But stay tuned on that. We'll get back to you on when you can actually be able to replicate this entire setup on your own.
Perfect. Thanks again. Thanks for joining. Hope to see you around at my developer interview series sooner or later. Have a great evening, guys.